Good morning and welcome to the Elevate Renatus team call. This is your host, Keely Austin. Today is Takeoff Tuesday. It's May 26th, and as of right now, we have 54 participants on the line. Please make sure you reach out to your team. We don't want any ICMs missing out on these fantastic morning trainings. And of course, make sure that you're set up for the reminder text in the mornings if you're new. If you have any questions on that, just type in the chat and we'll let you know what that reminder text information is. So Bill Predebon is an incredible individual who I've been fortunate enough to get to know over the last 4 years because we're both here in Scottsdale, Arizona. And Bill is a team leader, a key leader of our Scottsdale team. He is presenting pretty regularly and we do a lot of tours at his flips. And he's just a fantastic example of what it is to be a product of Renatus. A little of Bill's history: before Renatus, he was a pro skier for 10 years in Vail, Colorado, and realized he was really not qualified to do much else. He then got into franchise and he owned a couple of stores, and due to lack of knowledge, he ended up losing the business and losing everything. In 2007, he heard about real estate investing, and you might have come across this with some of your guests where they'd rather spend their money on investing in their first deal rather than spend their money on education. And I don't even know that Bill knew about Renatus at the time, but he definitely attempted real estate investing on his own. And unfortunately, that ended up in him being around $400,000 in debt during the 2008 crash, just because he didn't know what he didn't know. He then found Renatus, and he made 8 times more in his first year in Renatus than he did the previous year as both a loan officer and a realtor. Ever since then, so we fast forward, about I want to say 9-10 years that Bill's been involved with Renatus. So he's definitely a seasoned investor now, and he really knows what he's doing, and he knows how to work the Renatus system. He has completed over 150 real estate deals. He's grossed multiple 7 figures in real estate, and he's a marketing leader. So he's on the PIT team with our CEO, Bob Snyder. PIT, it means that he's training to be on the PAC, which is the President's Advisory Council. So we're very, very fortunate to get to learn from Bill this morning. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Keely. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm a little tired this morning for some reason.
That was me yesterday.
I didn't sleep well or what? Right on. I'm glad you're doing good. Thanks for that awesome intro. I love listening to it all the time and just checking out what's going on across the nation. Good to see everybody here. It's super fun and cool to be a part of this opportunity and be a part of you guys every Tuesday morning. Keely, you are awesome. I know you're working 2 different markets, supporting the market out there in Utah. I know that's where you're from, and you've got a lot of warm market there. So you're able to manage that area as well, bringing guests and supporting Michael and Ryan and Laura Black over there. And then, of course, you're a leader here with us in Scottsdale, and just always go out of your way to help us out with all of our events, including this national call. So thank you very much for, I know we say it every week, but it can't be said enough. Just appreciate you doing this. I mean, it just really does take a lot of effort, and it's appreciated, and it'll definitely benefit you in the long run. So I really appreciate it. I remember when I started, I don't know if I ever told you guys this story, but man, all I wanted to do was be like the people that were on stage, right? And like just not like be like them. Just I knew that if I was on stage, if I was telling a story in front of the room, that I had some success. So that's what I desired. And so I remember volunteering all the time. That's why I was there all the time and would go, even to the Zoom meetings now, like I just showed up because I felt like if I did that, eventually I would get there. And it's true. I may not, obviously there's effort that needs to be put in, but it's that law of attraction. It's that law of, putting it out in the universe. So, yeah, I just remember wanting to do anything. I think my first duty was, or like my first service was just taking care of the room, like setup and stuff like that. And then I really got the opportunity to when we had to move venues and we started going into hotels, and we found a particular hotel that was going to work with us really well. And so I was like the liaison. It was back then, it was Charles Hosea, actually, who's still with the company silently. So he was running the territory. So I would do all of his legwork for him. I did all the meetings with the hotel, set up all the events and all the catering and everything. It's really cool. It was a good opportunity. So just anyway, really appreciated it. Those behind the scene things really matter. I remember this one guy, I won't say his name, but he was like the main guy making the most money at the time until the crash happened. And I remember walking up to him on a Super Saturday, and I was like, man, I'm not going to remember what I said. I said something like, I just can't wait to be up on the stage with you, or like giving testimony, or, and whatever I said. And it was so funny. And he turns to me and he goes, until you're making $30,000 a month, don't even talk to me. Like, I'm not even kidding you guys. I was like I was so hurt. so like put down, so embarrassed. It was funny, but it just motivated me. It was pretty funny. He's no longer with us. And I think he ended up filing bankruptcy because he did not invest in real estate. He only did the marketing, and he just found himself, I shouldn't say that. He did invest in real estate, but he just bought property the wrong way during the boom. More like just retail, just to buy it. And yeah, he got caught pretty badly. But a lot of people got caught badly in the crash. Okay, so good morning, everybody. I just thought I'd tell that story, but that was funny. 760-533-3141 is the number. Welcome back from a long holiday weekend. Hope you guys had a great time. Hope we paid tribute to, obviously, our service men and women that gave it all, sacrificed the ultimate sacrifice, right? And those that made it back alive, we're grateful for their service. And the future, your kids, who's ever kids and grandkids that serve us in the future in the country that we so greatly appreciate. It's just awesome to be able to recognize and remember. And cool. It was a good day. So thank you very much, Patricia. This is so awesome. Yeah, it sure did motivate me. It was, you guys, I'll never forget it. All right, so today's about you guys, as always. I'm going to label this Keep It Simple. So I got to try to keep the training simple as well, but we've got to keep this simple. So the other day, so 760-533-3141, that's my phone number if you want to call me or text me. Pretty busy today. I got a pretty packed day today, but I will get back to you. If I don't, then just hit me up again, because then it'll refresh the top of my text, because sometimes it gets lost. In fact, I just had to, like, every time I walk my dogs, usually I go through my text the whole time, and I got to catch up with people that I meant to text, or I started a text to remind myself, so it would go to the top as like a draft. And then you guys probably experienced this too. And I just had to catch up, and I was like, oh my God, I forgot to text this guy back. So it's crazy. So keep it simple. So I was talking to one of my guys this weekend, and he's like, hey, I got a couple prospects I'm working on. Or, he was telling me kind of a little bit about his week coming up with work and stuff. And then he said, I'm working on some prospects too for Renatus. So okay, kind of an afterthought as well. And it's text, so you can't read too much into it, folks. So don't worry about it. But my first thought is this. I was like, well, what do you mean you're working on prospects? And he goes, just talking to a few people. And I get it. We want to, we've got our lead sources. We'll go through that. You guys will work on that today. But my thought process is it's not a process. right? Like you put them in a process, but talking to a prospect is not, it's not difficult. It's very, very simple. And what I mean by that is it doesn't take much to ask somebody if they're interested in investing in real estate. Um, and where it gets complicated, right, is we unfortunately, and this is probably going to be pretty cool. Actually, I'm going to take this into consideration myself. We unfortunately go ahead and our brains are smart. We have experience and we have understanding. So typically we start to subconsciously maybe interject and perceive and begin to prejudge and pre-imagine talking to these folks. We already almost create the objection that they're going to have, right? So, and this could be warm market or cold market or whatever, but we start to imagine what they're going to say, what they're going to feel, and why they would be interested or wouldn't be interested in this opportunity, right? And so let's take an example. Maybe we can think of one. Like, I don't have children, so I'm going to try this. Billy Tully, hey, good morning, buddy. I don't have children, but we're going to try this. Like, if you think about your children and you're thinking about something to do fun for the weekend. So I don't know what everybody did this weekend. I'm sure everybody had a good time. Maybe it's even your parents, or I don't know. It could be your spouse, I guess, right? And we're thinking, and you just go, hey, do you want to go get some ice cream? Hey, do you want to go up to the lake? Right? An idea comes into your mind that you think would be fun, would be creative, could be beneficial, could be a change of pace, could be exercise, getting out in the good weather, getting out because we're no longer quarantined as much. Whatever the idea is that comes to mind, for your children, it could be, hey, let's get away from the games. But you don't ever say, hey, let's get away from the games, because then they're going to want to stay with the games, right? But maybe you're thinking to yourself, let's get away from the games. So, hey, kids, let's go to the mall, right? And never do we go in our subconscious mind start to think, well, are the kids going to want to go to the mall and then spend money, and then they're going to be judged about the tennis shoes that they're going to be wearing because they bought them and we couldn't afford the really good tennis shoes. So then the kids are like, never. Like, oh, if I ask them to go get ice cream, are they going to think that I'm trying to ruin our diets, and that we're going to, I really think sugar's a good thing. And then I'm going to want to be hyper, and then I'm going to yell at them because they're going to be too hyper because they ate all the sugar. Like, we never think that. It's an innocent, it is a simple concept that you came up with on a daily, instant, all the time, routine, simple thing. Let's go do this, right? But when we come to inviting someone to a system, right, Renatus, and the opportunity to invest in real estate, we complicate it. And if you're sitting there going, obviously, Bill, it's not anywhere near the same thing, I totally agree with you, okay? It's not as easy and simple as taking your kids to ice cream. However, it is. And what I mean by that is that it is not hard for us to ask somebody a question when we don't feel like we are trying to get something for it. Okay? So I think that may be a part of the reason why we have, and who else? And I talked to another guy yesterday. I think it was yesterday. And I love him. He's gonna take off one of these days, and he's kind of soared a little bit, and then the plane came back down, and we got to get it off the ground again. But now I just lost my train of thought. So when we ask them if they're interested in real estate, we don't have to worry about whether they have the right mindset, whether they're a raw client, like a ready, able, and willing client yet. There's no reason. Like, then, so let's just say we do this. Let's just say we get past this first step and we're like, okay, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just going to ask. All right. And asking is step one. That's seeing the people. That's all you need to do. When they start to ask questions, naturally they're evolved. They're not children. They're thinking about what it is that you're asking them, and they have, they're going to have possibly some questions, right? Generally speaking, if we ask somebody if they're interested in real estate, or you pose a question, right? And it's not a question like, hey, do you want to come see this opportunity yet? Okay, because then they're going to ask, that's an open-ended question where they're going to ask questions about it. But when you ask a question about, like, hey, have you ever thought about investing in real estate? Have you ever thought about buying another property? Have you ever thought about, have you ever thought about what it would be like to be debt-free? Have you ever thought about what it would be like to, to own a rental property? Just anything, or even stay-at-home business. Have you ever thought about having a stay-at-home business, right? They're not thinking going, oh, what do you have? They're going to ask the specific on the surface question, right? Like, they're going to say, yeah, actually I have thought about buying around. You know what I mean? They're going to tell you, human nature is going to tell you what it is that they're interested in, right? And most of the people that you ask in these questions for, they're going to be interested in this. And so from there, you need to know, it would be beneficial for you if you had a rebuttal. Now, typically, our instinct is to solve the problem immediately, right? And I hope this is going somewhere, but I'm going to open it up here, and not that it's not open. You guys can just interrupt me anytime. And I got a couple notes that I made. We'll jump around a little bit, but this keep it simple thing I think is important. I don't know. For me, I'm going to start implementing it more. I got to tell you. So we have this agenda, right? We ask a question, they give us a problem, and we create a solution. That's the concept, right? But it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in 5 seconds. There's got to be rapport. Everybody knows what rapport is. You have to have language. You have to have communication skills, right? And it doesn't mean you got to go study language. Like, over time, eventually you're gonna want to improve your sales, and that's fine. But in the beginning, I don't mean the beginning of this is the first time you've ever done Renatus, but I mean the beginning, like when you are still getting your feet wet financially with Renatus, getting 5-star qualified, making your first 10 grand, making 10 grand steadily every few months, or whatever the case is. That's what I mean by in the beginning. And what I mean by this is that you don't have to have all this language. You just have to ask enough people. And I know you've heard that before, but it's so simple, because the right person is not going to go, okay, what is it you have? And then, okay, so what's the night that you want to go? And then Thursday I'm busy. And then have you ever made any money in this? What are you doing? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that is what you normally get. And then we get stuck because we don't feel like we have the right answers. Now, follow me on this. Like, we don't feel like we've done enough, right? Raphael was talking about this yesterday. He's like, people ask me, what have I done, right? And it's legitimate. Like, it's not like some BS excuse, but it is an excuse. We all know that. It's still a reason why we're not allowing ourselves to grow, right? Because we haven't done anything. It's very easy after the 4th or 5th or 10th time that somebody has said, hey, what have you done? And then you're like, I haven't done anything, so I can't, I screw it. I'm not going to be talking about this anymore until I get some deals done or make some money. That's totally legitimate thought. So not discrediting it, but it's still an excuse, right? So what I'm saying is, when you're talking to people, and you get to the right person, they are generally looking, they may not even be searching Craigslist or searching the internet or whatever. They may be a little bit, but they are kind of in their mind ready for change, or they're looking for something additional. But the problem is we just haven't gotten to them. And when we ask the right person, they are going to go to the event. It's fairly simple. So I'm going to give you a couple examples. All right, examples are good. And I'm going to tell you the roadblock, right? It's not normal. Okay, it is normal what you're experiencing. Number one is I Facebook some people, old acquaintances. What's going on? They reach out to me. Hey, and I can't remember exactly the sequence, but ironically, some of the people that I Facebooked, private messaged, they got back to me and said, yeah, and I didn't say, hey, are you interested in real estate? Or, hey, you want to check out my business again? I was just saying, hey, what are you up to? We should reconnect, blah, blah, blah. Have you ever, have you ever taken off? Whatever, some intriguing question, right? Are you still doing real estate? How are things going in this pandemic? Are you looking for anything extra? Like there was a little bit of a bait at the end of the hook, right? And like the majority of them all responded, yeah. So this last person, this one person, Carol, I get on the phone with her. We schedule a little call, and I set her up for Thursday night. So before I set her up for Thursday night, she wanted to get on the phone. We were old acquaintances. We got acquainted again, and we start talking. So then I tell her about Thursday. It was interesting because she's looking. She even told me on the phone, you guys. She's like, where I'm at, what I want to do. I want to get retired in the next. I've been working my butt off. I went through this, that, and the other things. So she went through a divorce. She went through some ups and downs over the last couple of years. Like just like everybody. I swear to God. I was thinking about this walking my dogs. I know I'm all over the place, but now my thoughts are coming back to me. Is this like if this was not something important, like if we think about it, so I was walking my dogs and my buddy, I saw my neighbor. Don't let me forget about Carol. Don't let me forget about a couple of stories I'm gonna tell you. Watch it. Okay, this is awesome. So, and he got a new Audi for his new job, right? He's the guy that I thought was gonna enroll for 100% sure. I told you the story. I didn't even ever get the chance to talk to his wife really about it. And I lost the sale. It was probably my doing. Okay. But he got a new job. He's younger. He's in his 30s. He's got a new sales job. He's in the medical industry. So it was kind of a lateral move, but they gave him more money and stuff like that. It's a better position. He doesn't have to travel as far to the Midwest. So here we go. I'm walking my dogs and I'm looking at him I'm like, that's a normal person. Right? That's his wife. I don't think she works. She volunteers at the church. She takes care of the kids. They got 2 boys. He's got a good job. They got a nice house, and that's it. They got a nice house. Now, he doesn't have a lot of debt. They've been very good with their money, and things are going along. Okay? He probably pays into a 401k, I'm guessing. Now, think about this, folks. I'm not kidding. I look at them. All of us would look at them and go, good life. Financially, good life. Right? 35, things are good. They got a house. They're paying down their mortgage. Awesome. So if I walked my neighborhood, I would consider most of those people in that position, right? However, it's a statistic that 95% of people are screwed by the time they're 65 financially. 95%. Okay? So there's the 1% wealthy, right? There's the 4% that are financially free, according to the government. $36,000 a year coming in from dividends or pension or whatever. 36 grand a year. The rest of them are dead, right? And then the 91% or the 90% are dependent on friends, family, government, or still working. So that's a fact. So that's 1 in 10. So like I look down the street where Eric lives and I think to myself, Eric is 90% chance that something's going to be screwed up in his life in the next 15 to 25 years, and he will not have an Audi, brand new, paid for by a company. He will not have that house anymore because of divorce, sickness, right? Loss of job, or some sort of unforeseen pandemic / recession or whatever that takes away his 401k and cuts it in half. It's a fact. If it wasn't a fact, Renatus wouldn't exist. Like it's like obesity. It is an absolute thing. It's created a $1 billion a year industry, multiple $1 billion a year industry, which is real estate investing education. People want to learn about it, right? Like we feel like we haven't done anything. We feel like there's no way we can talk. And I'm not saying you don't, but like when it comes to 9s and 10s and 8s and 7s and people that we look at, like they're fine. And Eric is fine. He is not in the need right now, right? Which would be, in my opinion, the willing category to get started with Renatus, right? There will become a point, unless he moves, okay, 1% wealthy makes $450,000 a year, the 1% income, right? Until he moves into that, until he creates a net worth, and I'm not even talking about $1 million. You guys know what $1 million. Imagine $1 million in the stock market when he retires, right? That's not even, by then, it's not even $2,000 a month. It doesn't even pay for a car and a house, right? So what I'm getting at now with Eric is I'm walking my dogs, okay, it's Rivers, and I start to think about like the fact that he didn't enroll and the fact that I failed to make this point, okay? I'm gonna go get him again, right, when the time's right. I gotta tell you, sometimes I resent that he didn't, I can't believe the time that he spent, and I was so emotionally attached to him getting started, right? I've told his story like 5 times. Let it go, Bill. So I'm just like you guys. So check it out. So then we go back to my buddy Raphael, and we're like, he's like, hey, I haven't done anything. They asked me what I've done. And the fact is that you guys, the people on this call, the people in Renatus, unfortunately, people quit Renatus. I wish you would never, ever, ever, if I could wish anything for you, like if it was your birthday and I've forgotten to wish you a happy birthday on Facebook, which I do. I don't forget, I just don't get around to doing it often enough, so I will. But I'm giving you your birthday wish now, and that is that I wish that you would never learn to quit Renatus. Just don't learn to quit this business. So with that, you guys have joined Renatus. I don't know what you've spent in the education. Hopefully you're getting your combo if you haven't already got it. Hopefully you're getting your profits if you haven't already bought it. It's just what you do. You will not regret it. And so you have already made a decision that and you may be struggling paycheck to paycheck. You may be still not gotten your first deal done. You may be in here for 2 or 3 years. You may be any possible probable scenario there's every scenario down the book. Every scenario you can imagine with where people are at in their Renatus adventure, you're in there. Yours is not abnormal. It's not the only one. It's all there. We're talking about tens of thousands of people, right? So mine included. So with that said, you guys that is a step that most people don't ever take. Believe it or not.
Don't forget about the Carol story.
Thank you. Which story?
Carol.
Carol, thank you. Thank you. Let's go back to Carol. This is perfect. So I reach out and I'm following up with all these folks. I did 5 follow-ups last week, one-on-one follow-ups. Carol was one of them. So I get Carol. Carol doesn't ask me any questions about, she knows, obviously she knows what I've done because she follows me a little bit on Facebook, but it's not, if you guys follow me, I'm going to start posting more, but I don't post that much. So it's not like everybody knows, I'm just, doing 150 deals, no, right? I don't put that on Facebook all that much, or really at all. So she didn't ask me, what have I done lately? How's it going, right? She told me how she is doing and what she wants and where she's at. And I said, I can help you get there. I have a system that will help you get there. You need to come on Thursday night. No rebuttal about Thursday night. She got in Thursday night. She let me know her plans, where she's going to be, blah, 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 blah. She even told me about this new guy she's dating and, you know, that how he's done in his life, and he's semi-retired, and she might even be up sitting and watching with him. And I'm like, cool, let me know his information. I'll sign him up too. They go through that. She texts me 9 times, 90% done with the thing. Her computer died. She didn't catch the end. I'm not really sure exactly where she fell through, but then I followed up with her and I said, hey, when do you want to get together? It was Friday, right? Do you want to get on the follow-up call today? You know, what's your schedule look like? Just, you know, nonchalant, we got to get back together within the next couple of days. She's like, hey, get me till Monday. I want to wrap my head around this. You know, we're doing something up north or something. So good enough. So Monday comes, I text her. Hey, what do you want to do? What time works for you today to get together on the phone? She's like, hey, I really haven't, I've spoken with, you know, Tim about it a little bit. We're still trying to wrap our head around it. I got a couple this, that, and the other thing I got to wrap up with work. Can we do Wednesday? So I'm like, yeah, no problem. Wednesday's fine. So I text her. We decide that we're finally going to be able to get together on Friday. This past Friday, 2 in the afternoon. And I know it's going to be a 2-hour follow-up. Her boyfriend's going to come and we're going to do this follow-up. And so the interesting thing is, the Carol story is that I reach out with a very simple question. She answers it. No objections, right? The right person doesn't do the objection, especially to the meeting Thursday night. All right. Then there's a little bit of life in the way, totally normal. To get the follow-up, it takes me a week to get the follow-up appointment. We do the follow-up and they're very interested. Interestingly enough, the first hour of the follow-up was controlled by them talking about where they're at, right? We talked about her business, his life. He had a lot to say. So storytelling, it wasn't business structured, right? So then I had to kind of steer the conversation, right? Which you would normally do when you start to ask questions on what she wants to do and stuff like that. The objection the entire time is one thing, and you guys can imagine what it is, right? The money. She would have done it already, but she's in a position where money's not obtainable to her, so she thinks so far. So we work on some of the ideas of the money, and most of the resources she does not have. The only resource it seems to be at this particular point, given barring the billing, which she probably can afford, so we'll look to that, is an angel investor, which is her boyfriend. But they're fairly new. He's semi-retired. It sounds like he's got some resources and things like that, and that he's interested in real estate, except that he's done this before. So he would essentially be supporting her. So I had to come out in a very difficult, if you want to call it that, almost question, right? And in front of the two of them, hey, have you guys, and I literally said this, I said, have the two of you discussed that he may be your business partner, the person who is your second primary, your second education holder, or your angel investor? Is exactly how I put it, right? And they said, well, we've, on the surface, right, we've thought about it. We're going to discuss that over the weekend, right? So now the holiday weekend's coming up, which is now past, right? So I'm going to get to the punchline. So I had to set another follow-up appointment because we did not find the funding, right? We've determined that she's a 9 or a 10 on getting started with Renatus, and that she wants it and she knows she needs it. And I talked to her about the things that she wanted. I constantly reminded her of what she told me, where she wanted to be, because she's older than me. She's nearing age retirement, and she's nowhere near it. No, she is the 90%. There's no question. And she's lived a good life. She had money in the past. She had a husband that had made money, and she was good in real estate for a while. And the market crash and the divorce crushed her financially. And she has a kid that she's taking care of. Like she's literally driving, doing extra jobs. So my point is, so here's what happens. We set the appointment. The interesting thing is that even with Carol, even with me, I did not close her, right? I need to set another appointment. And the objection is money, and it is not going to be an easy overcome. Like I know it. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to put it out there, but it's quite possible that she won't fund this education, that her inability or to find the resource. I'm hoping not. I'm going to work with her. I like Carol a lot. I've known her a long time, but I haven't talked to her in years, 10 years, 8 years. But I can tell it's a block, right? She's ready and she's willing, but she is not able. The only person that's going to create able for her probably is this angel investor guy, but I don't know the relationship. So they're going to go up north. They actually didn't go over the weekend. They worked over the weekend, and then they're going up this week, which is like today or yesterday after everybody. So I'm going to text them today and see when they're coming back down to get with them this Thursday or Friday, right? I sent them my Biff video. So I said, hey, here's a fun little video to give you a little more, because there's a whole break of a week. I don't like to go a whole week with no communication and no Renata's exposure, right? I'm not going to invite them back to Thursday night. They don't need to see it again. I'm not inviting them I will invite them to Chris Wilson, not Chris Wilson. We have Mark Kohler this weekend on a virtual intensive in Arizona. It's on the Arizona calendar. We have Mark Kohler, so I will invite them to that. But hopefully, I intend, without a doubt, to get on the phone with them prior to Saturday, and hopefully have their order placed Thursday or Friday of this week. The Carol story is that we keep it simple. We ask the entry question, we get them there, and we get them through the system. She's seen everything. And had she had the money, like in a 401k, we would have funded it, right? She was ready and she was willing, but she's not able yet until we figure it out, whether or not this guy's going to help her or not. If that's the one person that I'm talking to, and you've heard me say this before, in an entire month, it makes for a long month. There's no income coming in from Carol, right? I'll be lucky if I place. Now, it's possible that they could fund it right away if he decides to do it, because I think he's got the funds available within a short period of time. But I've got to overcome that objection. She's got to be willing to borrow money from him, essentially, if that makes sense. He's got to be willing to put a $20,000, $23,000 investment into someone he just didn't start dating that long ago, right? And that's not typical. That's not typical. All right. So in order to have a business that is thriving, right, or even the possibility of making $10,000 every couple months, every quarter, we can't work with one person. We have to work with more than one person. We have to constantly have multiple Carols in the pipeline. And so here's what I'm going back to keeping it simple. Many of you may have known this story, and I know stories sell, and that's not what this is about, but I'm trying to relate so you guys can understand true life examples of how this works so you can apply it. So like when I got started, one of my pass up sales, I got a job as a loan officer in 2006. It was like my first job. And like I had to show up on time, right? 12 to 8 in the afternoon. And I would drive down there. I usually rode my motorcycle, and I would go to work, and this guy had to train me. And I ended up getting this guy, Scott Walters. And he trained me in loans, and we worked together for a year. Then at the end, over a year, then I separated from him for a while. The mortgage company, the loan company that we worked for, Strategic Capital, was based out of Michigan, owned by this company. Dude, it got seized by the FBI right after I left, and they all went down. Like all the VPs went to jail. And Scott got out before that happened as well. And he was actually indicted or questioned. And he was one of the top guys as well. And he went on to call centers during the crash. So 2008 comes along, and I start marketing. And he was this is like April of 2008. I'd been in Renatus like 4 or 5 months, end of 07, December of 07. I think I got the first package, and then I upgraded in like January, February of 2008. And he's one of the first people I asked. And I just called him and I said, hey, are you interested in checking out some real estate stuff? He's like, yeah. And we had an intensive. So and many of you heard this, but I called him and he's like, okay, I'll go to the intensive. Like he just was looking for something. And he was in a call center of all places, right? He's running a bunch of people, but it wasn't his cup of tea, right? He made a ton of money and now he's not making nearly what he was making as a loan officer supervisor. And so he comes and he left at noon on the first day. And I ran out after him at lunchtime and I'm like, hey, are you not sticking around? Are you coming back? He's like, no, I got work to do. It was a Friday, right? We had a Friday, Saturday intensive. And I'm going to answer your guys' questions in just 1 second. And I go, hey, are you interested? What did you like the best? He's like, so this is one of your educators. I'm like, yeah. He's like, and so are you doing this? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, and it's working for you? I'm like, well, I haven't closed the deal, but I got like, 20 short sales in the pipeline. I'm doing short sales all the time. And I'm figuring out how to buy them with no money due. And he's like, all right, come to my office on Monday. Let's get together. I want to talk more. That Monday I went. That Monday he put in his credit card. Like, my point to this story is that the right person, it doesn't matter. It's a process. You've got to do a follow-up. You've got to see the people. You've got to build for the event. You've got to tell a couple stories, and then you've got to follow up. But that's it. Now you're going to have people in the pipeline. We all ask, well, how long do you go with the people, and you drip on them and all those things are great because one person's going to come back eventually. And then, when you start to have the 10 and 20 and $30,000 months consistently, it's because you've got a big, big pipeline and people will start to come back to you. You just heard Dane Clark talk about last week. He talked about 2-3 people that reached back out to him after months. They were gone. They ghosted him when he thought they were going to place the order back in October and November. And then boom, 8 months later, 6 months later, they placed their order in 2 events. You get that. You're going to have that. But the right people go through a process. It's simple. You ask them an intriguing question. They tell you their story because human nature, they want to. They want to tell you where they're at. They want to tell you what they're looking for. They want to tell you a story. Then you say, great, right? Other than work, you're obviously very passionate about spending time with your family. Yeah, whatever it is, right? What if I could show you a way? Would it be worth it your time? Or you don't even ask that. You get, great. Meet me on Thursday night. It's going to be awesome. Come to the Zoom meeting. It's going to be great. It's not even a question. You just tell them what to do. I told Carol what to do. This is what you're going to do. Thursday night, you're coming to this event. There's no options or choices until they object, right? That's it. Okay. The right people will go through the process and they will fund. They will like you. We don't need to be told where our money is. We don't need to discover the money. The only people that need to discover the money are people that don't think they have it or don't want to spend it. Okay. All right, Sandra says, what are some intriguing questions? I'll get to that. So why not have her started with essentials? So this is a great question. I will if I need to, okay? This is my thought, you guys. Number one is I have not exhausted all 23,000 options, okay? The reason I sell the Elite combo, the Epics combo now or the AIT combo is this. My understanding is that if they want to succeed the fastest with the least amount of resistance, with the greatest probability and the most likelihood of not quitting and the most likelihood of getting a deal done and the most likelihood of being successful the fastest with the least amount of losses, right? Including losing money on a deal, they start at the AIT combo, the Epics combo, okay? They start with the best. Because things are going to come their way they're not even expecting. And they might not even be studying that class, but they're going to have options too. Okay? There's a million reasons why. Nobody wants to be left behind, and that's why Bob even has, in my opinion, the AIT. The AIT is such a difference between what you get in what you get in the extreme versus the AIT advanced. It's such a diverse, it's such a difference, it's such a gap that that's the whole point, is that this has so much more value than this AIT. But I can't turn people away just because they physically, in their category of life, cannot fund 23 grand. They most likely possibly could fund 6,000 to 8,000. Let's give them a shot. Maybe they're the 1%ers or the 1% of or the 5% of the 1% that is going to take the advance and go out and do something with it. Let me give them that chance. Let me give them the chance that they could possibly flip a deal and find 20 grand to upgrade, or they could, or 12 grand, or maybe they'll find enough value in the advance that they'll go beg their parents for money so they can get the combo, right? Something like that. We don't want them left behind. So with me, Sandra, I will go back to eventually when we determine what she is capable of. At that point, I will offer the different packages. She knows about all the packages because she saw them on Thursday night, but I did not go over them at the follow-up. She didn't ask about them, right? She didn't need to know the differences. For her, it's 20,000. It's 23,000 bucks. That's what we're focused on. That's where I've been talking about. That's what she sees as the best. That's what I did. That's what most of the people in my company, in my group do, my team, so that's what we're focused on. Now, if she says there's no way, then we're going to go back and, okay, where can we get, where do you want to start? Like if we could start anywhere and we don't have the 23, are you interested in still getting into the AIT? Are you interested in starting the essentials? I will figure that out based on what she can afford, what her resources are without putting her, I don't want her to have to drive Uber to pay for her billing. It doesn't make sense to me. That's a stressful thing we don't need to do, right? So I will work with her on that to put her in a position where she can still have success in the essentials. So I'm not opposed to that at all. I will back them down, but I won't do it until I've exhausted all other possibilities. Okay. Megan, yep, she's had several people. Yeah, Megan, I mean, you went through it. Your learning curve, I don't know exactly what it looks like, but you've grown substantially in your second and third year versus your first year, right? I mean, and all the people that you had that were no way back then are now a yes, right? So it's so cool. Absolutely. Some intriguing questions are, Renatus offers, in my opinion, several things, right? Number one, off the surface, which we don't normally talk about, is Renatus offers an at-home business. We are a network marketing company. We're about to roll out, I believe June 1st, the upgraded, new and improved Mac Daddy earnings plan, compensation plan. It sounds like people are going to be able to make more money faster. I don't know the rules yet. Obviously, I haven't been privileged with that information. We didn't have to sign a non-disclosure because they have not disclosed to us anything. So the PAC members know, but the PIN members do not. Yeah. James said this, I saw it 12 years ago and didn't get involved until now. It wasn't his time. Absolutely. So we have an at-home business, right? Someone that wants to make money from home, right? And if they're going to do that, there's nothing, to be honest, if Sandy Girl Clark eventually, I'm assuming, will buy real estate, maybe she invests her money in reinvest it in her business right now. I don't know what she does with her money. She's not a fix and flipper, right? She's not a wholesaler. She's not an apartment building person. She's a business person. She's a boss lady. She goes out and she markets. She bought a business. She paid $20,000 for it, now 23, and she runs a business. She runs an at-home business from a computer all across the country, and she can do it from anywhere. She trains her people to do the same. In the meantime, they study education that allows them to create financial freedom. She focuses on paying down debt. She focuses on her 7 children. I think she has 7. She focuses on building a business, creating income, and then being able to learn how to invest that income in the future, possibly in long-term real estate. I have no idea, right? So number one, an intriguing question could be simply, are you interested in working from home? Have you ever thought about leaving your position? Not tomorrow, not on emotion, but would you like to retire yourself to a home position? Yeah. Right? There's some intrigue there. Or have you ever thought about working from home? If money wasn't an object, money was not an issue, and the timing was right, okay? Things were lined up the way you wanted them to be. and the opportunity made sense to you, do you keep your options open when it comes to other streams of income, other possibilities for income? Right there. You can ask that question to anybody, and it leaves an open door. There's very few people that are going to say no to that. Okay? If money's not an object, if we just eliminate the money issue, right? And we were looking for opportunity and the timing was right in our life where, things were kind of not perfectly lined up, but they were lined up. You were kind of looking for change. And the opportunity presented itself that was interesting and seemed to make sense. Do you keep yourself open for opportunity like that? Do you keep yourself open for other streams of income? Okay. Number 2 is, everybody knows this, we pay down debt, right? So it's very easy to ask somebody, and here's the thing, you could say, hey, would you be interested in paying down a mortgage in a fraction of time? Like, be creative. Like that originally comes out great. And for the right person, it might hit them right. But if you think about it, you're having a full blown, like a lot of us start out as 99%ers, right? We're on this call. We're in the 99%. We're not in the 1%. So we are surrounded by 99%ers. Okay. It's a fact. So when we go up to someone and say, hey, would you like to pay off your mortgage in 30 years or in 10 years or less, 30 years, it's probably not even fathomable for most people. Like, what are you talking about? That's just dumb. That's a myth. It's like a blue unicorn or whatever, right? But if you had a conversation, strike up a conversation. I always counting crows. You have a conversation with your friend, your family member, your colleague, whatever, anybody for real. And you said, hey, are you in debt like I am, or like I was, or like I am still kind of, or whatever the case is? Or you say, hey, have you ever considered looking at your debt? Like, does it seem overwhelming? And like, you're having a true conversation. And you just said, what would it be like if you were debt free? Like not Dave Ramsey, rice and beans, putting cash in an envelope. Like, I'm not talking about that, but like, imagine if you could literally pay down your debt without a debt consolidation company where it crashes your credit and you've got to, you got to negotiate all your debt with these people. And it just puts you in this poor category, right? But like, literally you did it on your own. Maybe it took 6 weeks, maybe it took 6 months, but you paid off all your debt. Like, have you ever thought about that? Like, have you ever dreamed what it would be like to feel that way? And then not only did you get debt free, not just your mortgage or whatever, your car payment, but like your car was still in good shape and you didn't owe a car payment and you could literally be proud driving the car that you own and it's finally paid off. Not like it's 10 years down the road and you got this piece of crap and it's paid off, but it's a piece of crap and you got to go get a new car, but like a legitimate car and you don't owe any money on it. Like, have you ever thought about that? What that would feel like? And of course they're going to say, yeah, like you could have a conversation and then you could go, boom. I know this sounds like a unicorn in the sky, right? Like some rainbow, blah, blah, blah. But what if would you be open to seriously just taking 15 minutes on this video or coming to an hour-long presentation about how you could reduce debt without coming out of pocket? Like, would that interest you at all? Like, you wouldn't be interested in that, would you? But not out of the gate. You can't be like, hey, would you be interested in not paying any debt out of your own pocket and be debt-free in 6 months? Like, come on, it's not realistic. People don't go from being flat ass broke, paycheck to paycheck, to paying off a mortgage in 10 years. They don't think about it that way, you guys. I mean, we don't even believe it. I bet that no one here has paid off their mortgage in the last 10 years. All right, we know that it works. We've heard stories of some of the debts that have happened in the first few years that we've been putting this program together. But watch the class, like, we understand that it's possible. But let's be real with people. People want to be inspired. They want transparency. They want to be truth. They just want to be inspired by someone not pulling wool over their eyes. Especially with all this crap that we just went through 10 years ago. And now we're going through it again. Another intriguing. We'll wrap this up. Obviously, there's real estate, okay? But more importantly than real estate, you do have the taxes. Like, you could have a conversation with somebody. like if you're W-2, which I'm guessing the majority on this call is still W-2, which is totally fine. Don't quit your job. Like keep your job for a while until you buy the house that you want with a private money loan and a hard money loan. You move into it and then you refi out of it with your credit. You fix your credit and you keep your W-2 job because it's easier to get a loan. You pay down some debt and you go live in your dream house. Like I'm not even kidding. Or you live in the fix and flipper that you've always wanted to do. There's so many possibilities, you guys, I can tell you that don't do what I did. Do the things that are possible. You can do this. So you could have conversations with people. You could look at your paycheck and go, like, I don't know, maybe you've changed your exempt status. Maybe you've now gone up a dependent, so you keep more of the money you make because you started a business. If that's you, then have a conversation with somebody else who hasn't. Screw the real estate, screw all the other stuff that's so overwhelming to people in the beginning, and have a regular conversation about paying taxes. I suggest you watch the class thoroughly before you do it, so you have a full understanding of what the heck you're talking about. But then you can qualify for 15 minutes on lunch break or your coffee break or your smoke break, and you can have a conversation with somebody about, look at your taxes and tell me where your money goes. Like if you ever looked at your paycheck and they're like, well, yeah, like does it ever piss you off that you make $2,000 every 2 weeks and $600 goes to the IRS, not including tax and federal? I mean, tax and FICA, Social Security and stuff, state tax. But I'm just talking about federal income tax. 500, 400 goes to it. It's at least 20% of 2,000 to federal income tax, not to the whole tax bracket. You've got Social Security now. And then like, imagine if it didn't. Imagine if you could collect 75% of that 200 every paycheck. $150 every paycheck. What would you do with the money? Well, I can't do that. I'd owe the IRS. And you could have a serious conversation about tax deductions. And then you invited them. You guys, we can have all the intriguing questions we want. But the thing is, you can't talk to one person a month about this. You won't make $10,000 ever. Maybe once a year. You will get on the stage in nationals for the one $10,000 check you made. But that's not why you're here. The other thing we can do with Renatus and the intriguing questions, you know, obviously there's the tax thing, right? Is we can go to real estate, right? But we don't have to go to fix and flip. Like fix and flip is cool with the shows. And maybe you're talking to an A personality in fix and flip and they need to make money right away. They want to make some extra money. Great. And let's just say that you had somebody make an extra 20 grand and call it 40. I don't care, whatever you want. Now let's finish with this. Just making sure you have the steady income or it won't work. I'm just checking. All right, cool. So here's the thing. If somebody says to you they're looking to fix and flip in a wholesale, why are they doing that, right? They're looking to do that because they want to make some income, right? They want to make some money. They know that there's good possibilities and profits and things like that. So asking the question what they're going to do with it, like having a conversation, what are you going to do with the money? Like gets them to think. And most people are going to pay off debt. They might take a little bit of a travel, but they're going to help out somebody in their family. They're going to pay down debt. They're going to pay down their student loan, pay off their car. They're going to do something with the extra money, right? And so we applaud that. Like that is an amazing thing. The fact that you want to pay down debt is awesome. Imagine that if you flipped one house and you made 20 grand, paid off all your debt, like all your credit card debt, the average person has 17, 18 grand. Would you ever flip another house? Well, yeah, I'd do it again. Of course you would. Okay. What would you do with the money then? Like, well, I don't know. I go on vacation, right? Or I buy a new car, right? Now they have no debt. So now they got an extra 20 grand. Like if you actually, and this takes like 2 minutes to have this conversation, right? Imagine if you ask people, what if you had an extra $40,000 or $50,000 and you could go on vacation based on your paychecks, or you just took a vacation. Would you ever want to learn to invest that money? Well, yeah, I would put it in the stock market. I'm like, okay, so let's just, wherever you put it, like, would you just find someone to kind of take your money and invest it? Like just give it to a financial planner. And so let me, and then you could talk about the broken system. Or you could say, listen, have you ever thought about taking the extra money that you make and learning how to control it yourself so you hedge against inflation and recession and you actually own property? Where the wealthiest of the wealthy, the 75% majority of the wealthy people hold and make their money is in real estate. Does that ever, like, I'm not talking about fix and flipping houses. They don't fix and flip houses. Mr. Shea, right? Mr. Trump, they're not fix and flippers. They're not wholesalers. They build, develop, and hold and leverage real estate over time. And if you ask somebody if they wanted to create wealth where they could retire on 2 or 3 times more than they ever thought possible through a retirement account, would that interest them? That is intriguing. Intriguing is making people's minds just think a little bit and understand what it would be like to control their own investments, to not worry about whether the stock market's going to lose $7 trillion in 3 freaking weeks, and whether or not the right president is going to be elected to rebound. Whether or not, if we put $6 trillion into the economy, is it going to tank the economy for the next 4 years? Like, those are legitimate concerns that I have no idea what the outcome is going to be. To be honest, I don't care. That's not true. I totally care. I mean, I totally care, but it's not going to affect my life based on my real estate, right? I'm going to constantly be able to look to mortgages, to look to different strategies of income. Like, wherever there is a need, somebody in the world will fill that need. If it's subprime loans, if it's hard money loans, if it's private money loans, if it's real estate, like oxygen, will always be utilized to some capacity. There will always be a necessity. It's always evolving. Short-term rental, rents itself, whatever. It's always evolving. You know, e-systems, you know, the houses are becoming more economically correct and all that stuff. We get all that, but it's an absolute necessity, and that's why it's so powerful. That's why the government provides so much benefit tax-wise, is because people need housing so they can get a freaking job to pay taxes. It's just a fact, and we're producing people like crazy. Diana Torres, you are so welcome. I got to head off. 8:09. I got to go. I got an appointment too. I got to get in the shower, shave. You guys, I love you guys. Thank you so much. I hope this helped. Frank, find someone else who's willing to help you or watch the recorded intros. You guys, keep it simple. Whatever you do, do not think about anybody and prejudge. Just ask people. Just ask more people. Just keep it simple. Get the right person in the system, and you will make $10,000 without pulling your teeth out, without worrying about what it's like. All right, you guys, you got my number. Hustle on. Frank, D. James, Deanna, everybody, Amy, Sandra. I love you guys, everybody on this call. Thank you for your time. 760, I don't even know how to spell my name. 760, it's because I'm not spelling my name. 533-3141. I'm spelling my number, which is not spelling. I don't even know what that's called. If only were that easy. Frank, you're right. It's not easy. I never said it was easy. I never ever said it was easy. Keep it simple, folks. It's simple. It's not easy. If it was easy, I'd be making $1 million a day. It's not easy. I struggle every day, you guys. Every day I struggle. All right. Happy day. Welcome back to work. Make it a great short week. Make it a great Tuesday. Love you guys. And I will end the meeting for all. And thanks for your time. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Every one of you guys is absolutely amazing. Don't forget that.
Bill.
You're welcome. You're welcome, LaShawn. You're awesome. You're a beautiful girl. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks, Bobby. Thanks, Keely. Thanks, Mylene. Roxanne, you guys are awesome.